and welcome to another edition of Skip Happens. A little music in the background kind of sets you up for what we're going to do here tonight and talk to the artist of this brand new song. Give it a listen.
She wears rose-colored glasses, even though it's out of fashion. Rose-colored glasses. She floats on the wings of a dove, straight up to the sky, into the arms of love.
What a voice. What a voice.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's the young lady right there. Rebecca Correia is with us here tonight. This is called Rose-Colored Glasses. Hang on a second. Listen. Here we go.
She's on her way back.
So good.
She's leaving all the back.
Rose-colored glasses. Now, Rebecca Correia, as I mentioned just a moment ago, is with me here on Skip Happens tonight. Welcome to it, everybody. We're going to have a great conversation. You know, when we open up the mic and turn on the lights and all that good stuff, it's always a good time. Of course, we're in the Northeast, and she is in the Northeast. And that doesn't happen all that often on the podcast. Usually, we're talking to an artist. I'll go, where are you from? Or where are you right now? And they'll say, well, I'm in Nashville. Or I'm on the West Coast in California. I mean, but now it's completely the other way. Tell everybody, where are you, Rebecca?
I am in a little town called Dartmouth, Massachusetts.
I've actually heard of that.
It's a nice place. We're about probably 4 miles from the ocean at most.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
in some aspects, there's a couple coves that are probably a mile away.
Yeah. So do you live there, or are you just because you have a show there?
I have been playing up here. I'm from here. I'm from a little town called Rochester, Massachusetts, which is right outside of Cape Cod. And I grew up there. And then I live a good portion of the year in Nashville, Tennessee. So normally I'm there, but this is sort of the end of my summer season. I come up and I play a ton of shows on the coast. Sometimes I get to the islands, Martha's Vineyard, and Nantucket. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. But you said you spent a lot of time in Nashville. So.
I do. I moved there 17 years ago, almost to the day. It's been a long journey. I've been going there. I had some friends that were working in music there that said, you got to come down. And I took a trip back in 2006 and just fell in love with the place and just decided, like, you know, I love it here in Massachusetts, but I need to be around more of my music people.
You have to be where the action is,
yes.
So to speak. Yeah. No, I get that. But you know what, where you are in the Northeast right now and the seasons are changing. I know here where we are in central New York, the leaves are starting to change a little bit. It's a beautiful time to be in the Northeast.
It is. In fact, I just I had a show out in Western Mass a few days ago, and I was so lucky to take the Mass Pike out there. And I went to school in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
This time of year is my absolute favorite time of year in New England. It's just like unbelievable. The colors and it just doesn't get better. The humidity leaves the air and it's just heaven every day.
Exactly. Now, right now in Nashville, I think they had a little bit of rain today because of the hurricane that came up through, but and I believe the humidity was up a little bit. I had some friends out there as well, but yeah. So when do you get to go back to Nashville?
Well, actually, I fly back on Sunday, so
okay.
I'll be there and sort of this time of year, fall into winter. I'm more stationed there doing work and networking and writing and recording.
Yeah, let's talk about your music a little bit. How would you describe yourself? Is it folk? Is it rock? Is it Americana? I think it's a little bit of all that, but how would you describe your music?
Yeah, I would say the same. It's hard for me to pick just one because I grew up listening to incredible artists from all genres, and I love music. When I went to college, it was a lot of classical music that I was experiencing. The 90s grunge, alternative music, love.
And there.
Folk, being from New England, the folk scene up here is just so amazing. There's so many artists I could name that inspired me over the years. So I tend to think of my music as, I just say singer-songwriter because I figured that would be easiest, but I also sometimes will say pop. And people,
Okay.
I make sure to say it's not bubblegum pop. It's, pop is short for popular. And so, my music sometimes hovers in the rock department. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's pop, sometimes it's Americana, sometimes it's folk. I love R&B and soul.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's sort of in that genre altogether. Those genres, I should say.
And even the country genre kind of touches on all that now more
Yeah.
than it ever has. It's always been, some folk, some Americana, but now you're hearing the rock, you're hearing, as you would say, the pop come out. I mean, just look at some of the artists that are coming up through and some of the shows. And for example, just to give you an example, Saturday Post Malone's here in town. And
Ah,
yeah, I know. And everybody's like, well, he's not country, but he is country because he put out the country album, which
yeah,
totally kicks ass.
totally.
Every song on that album is a smash,
Absolutely, I agree. I
you
agree.
know?
I think he did such a great job, really honoring the craft, and
Yes.
he was so respectful when he came to town, and I know he touched base with a lot of artists and people in town, and he
Mhm.
really nailed it on this record, I think.
Yeah, exactly right. And he throws it back. You wouldn't think you would look at him and you go, okay, he's actually from here, from Syracuse.
Really
Here's a true story. Before we
love
this
this.
is this is interesting. I because being on the air every afternoon here at a radio station in town and doing my thing, I have a listener that reached out to me one day. She sent me a classroom picture. She was a kindergarten teacher. She goes, now if you look in the lower right hand corner, that's Post Malone, but his real name's Austin. So I go, are you kidding me? I said, you were his kindergarten teacher. She goes, yes. And then she sent me other pictures.
Oh,
Now, he did move on shortly after that. I believe he went to Texas or whatever. His parents had split up and all that. But still, I mean, I was like, wow, this is so cool. This is so cool.
that would be so sweet if she was in the front row. If he could get her there to
I
cheer.
know. She wants me now. They're pretty strict with these shows nowadays, but I know we're supposed to be talking about you, but still, they're pretty strict with these shows, and to even for us as radio people to get backstage with Post Malone is a little bit difficult. Sometimes it's who you know and how you go about doing it, but
Mhm.
still, it's not as easy as it used to be. But she said if you could print out those pictures and take them with you.
Oh,
So
I
that
love
would be kind
that.
of cool. I know. Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that so much.
Exactly. Let's go back to you. Full circle here. But your songwriting,
Yes.
you've been writing for a long time.
Mhm.
And tell me a little bit about your songwriting and how you're inspired to write what you write and all that.
Well, I started writing when I was really young. I was in 4th grade when I wrote my first song. I
Okay.
had some piano lessons before then. I always gravitated towards music, but that's when I started, and I started, just with simple melodies, simple words, expressing the things that I was going through, whether it was happiness or sadness. I just
Mhm.
started to learn to, like, oh, I can put this into words. I can put this into a concept musically and share it with people. And I also noticed it seemed to, like, help other people around me with, whatever it was that we were dealing with at the time,
Mhm.
good and bad. So I started just writing nonstop. In 6th grade, I learned guitar. I had learned piano early on, but guitar I picked up in 6th grade, and I just never looked back. Always
That's
was
awesome.
writing.
That's awesome. Now it's
Yeah,
not only a guitar. I mean, you play the piano a little bit too,
I
or a
do. I do.
lot.
That was my first instrument.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think in music terms, when I think of music, if music theory wise, I'm always thinking in piano terms. And I'm I play more guitar at shows because it's just such a social instrument. It's so
Mhm.
easy to bring around. I got kind of tired of lugging my keyboard from gig to gig, so I don't always have it with me. But on special occasions, or if I know the venue has a piano or a grand piano in that respect, I will sign up with bells on to play
Yeah,
it.
as long as it's there, I totally get that. Wait a minute. So the now I've seen artists come through the radio station with carrying a keyboard, but there's different sizes, right? Is there an 86 key or what are they?
Yeah, they have different sizes. I I can't get away from the full 88 because
88. That's what I was thinking of.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm so used to that. Even though I don't really stretch to the bandwidth of a keyboard all the way, I can't seem to like. I just need to. I need it all there. I need to know all the octaves are going to be there for me if I want them to be. So
Mhm.
my keyboard is a full 88.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, and that would probably be rather big for you to haul around, so to speak. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, kind of. What is one of your best, or your well-known album? What is? I know you had an album. I mean, how many albums have you done? Just the one
I
or two, three,
I
four?
started when I was really young, and it depends on which fan of mine you speak to. Some people will say I have more than what I admit to, but there's five that I consider. And
Okay.
the one that the last record that I put out was produced by Keb Mo. He's a 5-time Grammy Award winning artist.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I've known I call him Kevin, so I'm gonna refer to him as Kevin, but
That's
I've
cool.
known Kevin since since I moved to Nashville basically, and he just has been a mentor and incredibly supportive to me, and I'm so fortunate. I had brought a song and a project to him years ago, and I said, I have this lofty goal, and I know you're the right person to help accomplish this, and that was my song Solid Ground. And he
Mhm.
said, yeah, let's do this. And then with the help of his record label at the time, Kind of Blue Music, we put out the song Solid Ground and the music video that went along with that.
Okay.
And so yeah, and then after we finished that project, we were so we're like, we got to do more. We can't just leave it at one song. So we ended up
How
making
cool.
an entire EP, a record that came out. It's called Grown Up Games.
Okay.
So that came out in 2019. So that's on all the platforms.
What was the fire? The fire. What was there an album called The Fire?
The Fire.
Am I
I'm trying
maybe?
to think what song that might be that
I
you're
don't know.
thinking of, or what
Just
record. We had With Love, Each and Every Detail, Soul of Me, and then we had another live record that I put out at one point.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I was reading somewhere, trying to like I said in the beginning, I really don't do a lot of homework when I do these. I'd rather just work off conversation.
Yeah.
But I did see somewhere something was written The Fire. I could be totally mistaken. And if I am, I apologize. But
Oh, it'll come.
it's just
Something will come jog back to me, and I'll say, "Oh, that's what he was thinking of."
hmm hmm. Wow. So you made the move to Nashville back in the early 2000s,
Hmm.
and you got hooked up with some pretty prominent people. And how did that come about? Like you were just talking about Kevin. I mean, was
Yeah.
it just like, did he hear you? Did he know you before you went to Nashville or what?
He didn't. Our dear mutual friend Kevin another Kevin, who's out of Boston area, an
Okay.
incredible artist. I'm sure he's played out there in the Syracuse area. He's incredible, and he actually invited me over to come hang out with
Mhm.
Kev Mo on another occasion, and that's struck the friendship, and he would come to our shows and support us. And then one day he called me up and said, like, let's write a song. And I'm
Wow.
like, did I hear him right? So I said, absolutely, tell me when, where, and I'll be there. And that song
So
was
cool.
called So Long Goodbye, and that ended up being on his Blues Americana record, which came out, I think it was 2013.
Okay.
And it was the last song of the record. The record ended up getting nominated for a Grammy, which was like,
Wow.
it was so special to be a part of something like that, because I could never in my wildest dreams had imagined that would unfold like that. And then I begged him on my record to do a version with me of singing that song. So we did it
Uh-huh.
as a duet together on that record.
Wow. Well, did you feel intimidated at all or nervous or going, oh my God, I can't believe this is really happening, but we're going to do it. And
Yeah,
hopefully I get
yeah.
this right.
So many times it really is like surreal, because where I grew up, we don't come in contact with, people in the industry.
Yeah.
Nashville is just a melting pot of so many artists, and you're just, in the grocery store line, and you look over and,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so-and-so is in the line checking out, and it's surreal. And it's taken me probably, over a decade being in Nashville to get used to that concept. So yeah, it was definitely intimidating and overwhelming, but he makes it so
Makes you feel
comfortable.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and eventually you forget, and you realize that you're there for a reason. You're meant to be there, and you have a camaraderie and a connection that brought
Yeah.
you together.
I love that. When you go back to Nashville, what part of town do you live in?
I live in a place called Leipers Fork, and it's technically
Okay.
not in Nashville. It's technically in Franklin, Tennessee.
Franklin. I know where Franklin is. Okay.
Yep. And the first year that I went to Nashville, I went out there to visit, and I just fell in love with it. Just
Mhm.
rolling green hills, fields, horses, farmland. And I grew up on a farm. So I was like, okay, this feels right. I like the city, but I like to be able to escape. And
Mhm.
so I've been living there now for, let's see, 11 years now out
Oh, wow.
in that part. So we're just about 30 minutes outside of town, which isn't far.
No, but that's on a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. When you don't
The
leave
way
at 5
things have
o'clock.
changed. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's leading me into my next question. When you moved there to Nashville in the early 2000s, how has that changed from your perspective between then and, let's say, when you go back there in a day or two or a few days? How has Nashville changed? I know it's gotten packed and there's probably a crane on every corner,
Oh, yeah.
but
It is just the skyline looks completely different. It's got to be at least 5 times, busier down there in terms of the skyline and
mhm.
people just moving in. I think there was a stat that was being thrown around at one point. There was like 100 people per day or per week or something crazy like that were moving there. And so when I got there, it was a very, very small town vibe. Everybody knew everybody, and you could park on Broadway. You could park your car. There were no meters. It was like you just got out and you did your thing. And now it's just a very different beast. It became extremely popular. It was popular before, but now it's like unfathomable.
Well, I think everybody knows that that's like the hub for just about almost all genres of music now. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be country.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's so much history there. Plus, all the major superstars are putting their name on a bar. Somebody's doing whatever so they can get their name on a bar, and it's just it's kind of crazy. And I'll tell you a crazy story. A year ago, June, my wife and I went out there for the NASCAR race. We stayed right downtown at the Omni, and we got out of the race early enough. We got back, and I said, "Honey, let's go. We're going to walk over to Broadway. Let's see what's going on tonight." Well, that was a mistake because it was a Saturday night.
Oh
Uh,
no.
yeah, you know where I'm going with this. The
Oh yeah.
road was closed because it's just nothing but bachelorette parties. You could walk on the heads of people there. Everybody was crowded together.
Yeah.
There were things you don't want to discuss happening on the corner. It was just a mess. And it was a line, like long lines to get into some of these really cool places. So I said, that's it. Okay, we're too old for this. We're going to go back to the hotel and we'll have a cocktail there. So
Yeah, yeah. We have this thing, where it's, Nashvillians and Tennesseans, we never go to Broadway. Like
right.
we
I
like
know.
unless we have a friend that's playing. Like when Lily, who's featured on my song, she and her family band play at Layla's
Oh
on
yeah.
Broadway.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they've been playing. She was one of the very first people that I met when I moved to Nashville, and she was 16 years old at the time playing
Oh wow.
at Layla's, and she just like blew my mind. And I'm just like, this girl is so special. She is such a special being. And
Nice.
I've, struck up a friendship with her and her
Mhm.
family, and
Mhm.
have followed and supported her music for years. When they've come up for tour, they've actually played. We have a farm in Rochester, my family farm, and she's performed there with her
Very
family.
cool.
Yeah. And circling back she's actually at the show this weekend. You might see her because she's in Post Malone's band.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
So I got to look for Lily May.
Lily May. It will be on stage with Post Malone.
She plays in his band.
She plays fiddle for Post. Yeah.
I'm
for
glad
Austin.
you told me.
So
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. How
I
cool.
was going to mention it earlier, but I figured we'll keep it a little secret for a little while longer.
Yeah, you know that you'd be really surprised. I know, for example, you're talking about Lily being with Post, being with Posty, but then I want to say about a month ago, we have a big amphitheater here, and of course, you know how that goes. All the big shows come through with Live Nation and what have you. But Jake Owen was part of a big show one night, and Charlie Worsham plays guitar with Jake Owen. And Charlie's done a lot of his own stuff too. And it's like, that's Charlie. Holy crap. That's cool.
The Charlie.
The Charlie. Yes. Yeah, that was very cool. So tell me a little bit more about this relationship with Lily, because I see the song Rose Colored Glasses. She's on that label with you, or I see the picture of her on the cover with you.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So when I wrote the song, I wrote it at my friend's kitchen table in Leipers Fork. And it was me reflecting on different inspiring stories from women in my life that have gone through different challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reflecting on that. And after I wrote it, I said, I gotta record this. This is one of my next projects. And I thought to myself, someone who could really carry this message with me, that could really relate and share this story, especially as women in the music industry. There's not, we're outnumbered. Let's put it that way.
Well, we need more.
Yeah, we need more. We're there. We are existing there in the music industry, but in Nashville, but there are less of us. And so she and I both have had our triumphs and our challenges within the industry, related to being a woman, but also just in general. And so I knew that she would be able to tell that story really well, because she's just such a deep, deep soul, an old soul, a deep soul. And it's a song about perseverance and challenges and struggles. And I knew that she'd be able to carry that message. So I reached out to her and asked if she would take part and be, sing a verse and sing the harmonies. And she ended up putting fiddle on, she plays fiddle for Post Malone.
So cool.
No. Yeah. I know. It is so cool.
It is so cool.
But she's, I'm not surprised, because she is such a star. She is such a very, very special artist and musician. And she's not the first big artist that has, tapped her shoulder.
Yeah, that's cool. Where, and for you to now have that type of relationship with her, where, you both are doing the same thing, but practically helping each other out. I mean, you can't beat that. Just, having that relationship. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Like when she has a little one, Aberdeen, and she and her husband are both musicians as well. So when we did we went into the studio to record it. She said, Aberdeen was so little, and she's like, I can't leave her at home, so she needs to come with me. That's fine. So we take turns holding her between takes, and she was a part of it, which is really special, because it is
so adorable.
It's a song about perseverance that anyone can relate to, but specifically it talks about she oftentimes in the song. And so it was really special to have her little one there with us and have that be part of the story.
Yeah. It just, you've been in Nashville since the early 2000s. You've got great music out there. The number of albums, the songs that you've put out and all that, but to get where you are today, what do you think has been your biggest challenge?
I think my biggest challenge has been perseverance. It goes along with the song, because industry is so unpredictable. When I really started this journey, things were so different. CDs were the thing, were the model, and the whole industry in terms of streaming has turned around, or even podcasts that didn't exist at the time, so just to be able to adapt and persevere through the changes, and then also have, faith in yourself and confidence that you'll find your way, and just to keep getting up and doing it. I know there have been a lot of colleagues of mine that have gone in different, especially after everything that's happened in the last 4 years,
Sure.
pandemic. A lot of artists that I know, or musicians, have gone into real estate or things like that. They've, tacked on other things to keep themselves afloat. So just being really grateful for getting up and continuing it on, even in the seasons or the times or the momentary times where I was like, should I be doing that? Like, is this really the best choice to be making? But I've always known that I was supposed to share my messages with whoever wants to hear them. I knew that I had to keep a foot in one way or another. So that's what I would say is perseverance.
That's awesome. That's awesome. If you weren't doing music or putting out great music like Rose-Colored Glasses, what do you think you would be doing?
Gosh, I have my degree in music education, and I do teach a little.
Oh,
And
cool.
I really can't imagine not doing something that involved music. So I think one way or another I would be involved in that. I think that teaching is one of the most important things that we have in our society.
Oh, absolutely.
And teachers don't get enough credit for
Absolutely.
what they do. It's really hard. I'm the daughter of a first grade teacher, a retired public first grade teacher. And, watching my mom day in, day out go and teach 28 to 20 to maybe 30, children every day, and teach them how to read. It takes someone special that has a lot of patience to be able to do that year in, year out.
It's what my daughter does. She's in Virginia, and she's a reading specialist. She's a teacher, and I'm so proud of her for what she's doing. And you hear a lot of what these teachers have to put up with. People are people, and sometimes people can suck. So just saying, being a teacher, you have to be pretty strong and be able to put up with a lot. So, and she does the reading. She, in outside Newport News, Virginia. So,
oh wow,
that's
good
pretty
for
cool.
her.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's cool that you got that degree too. So more or less, and not that I can see this happening, but you got something to fall back on a little bit. So,
yeah, it's funny because I never thought of it that way. I just thought I was just doing what I was doing. And I tell everyone that, my education at the Hartt School, I went to the Hartt School of Music. It's music, dance, and theater now that they consider it. But, and that music education degree was so well-rounded. We had to do everything from percussion class, like play a drum set, to play a trumpet, to sight reading, to conducting class, like everything. It was just so all-inclusive. It so prepared me for what I'm doing day in and day out as a songwriter. So, I never think of it as a fallback, because I just think like it's something that's running parallel all the time. And I have my students now that I teach, and they help me hone in on my craft. And, I'll review things with them that make it even clearer in my mind. When you rehash it and you relay it to somebody, that's when you're like, okay, I really understand this concept, and to see them thrive in it and perform and find the confidence, it's really, really cool.
Cool. Tell me, Rebecca, tell me a little bit about your shows. I read that they're high energy, and you really know how to connect with the audience.
Yeah, I do a lot of storytelling in my shows. Like I said, going back to like the folk scene in New England, and like upstate New York with, I'm trying to think of the room that's up there, Saratoga Springs. Like,
yes, yep.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, it that scene, the Iron Horse in Northampton, Club Passim, that type of vibe. I traveled around seeing, artists like Martin Sexton and Melissa Ferrick, and you name it, Livingston Taylor, everybody, and just watching them singularly get up on stage on their own and hold the attention of the crowd and tell these riveting stories that were, plummeting down and then taking you up and hills and valleys. I just really cut my teeth on that scene and also going to learn from them. And I ended up opening up for a number of artists along the way, a lot at the Iron Horse in Northampton.
Love it.
And that really, really prepared me for what I need to do, because if I can do it on my own, then with other people on board on the band on stage, I'm only going to have that much more power. Yeah, I think sometimes, people that come to see me, if they have never seen me before, it's a lot of original music. So you're doing a deep dive into music that you may not recognize at first. And I tend to do a few covers here and there. I do some Whitney Houston.
Oh, nice.
Some Alanis Morissette, and I do a cover of Always on My Mind. So I do some classic country and different things like that. But a lot of it's original music. So
that's cool.
My fans get used to the stories behind the music, and I try to get some laughter in there every once in a while.
I love that.
Even in the serious moments.
Like now we're laughing. This is cool.
Exactly.
Cool. I love this. Tell me a little bit, have you experienced anything that's out of this world while you're on stage? Anything crazy ever happen? Something that will stick in your mind going, man, I'll never forget that day, or something like that? Have you ever had anything like that? I think everybody has something.
Yeah. I have so many great memories from shows that, just people, coming up to me after and saying, that song really touched me and really moved me. Those are my favorites. I'm sure that there's some wild and crazy story that'll come to mind for sure.
Or maybe you don't want to talk about it. I don't know.
No. But those are the moments that get me the most, is like when people really connect with her, crying or, whatever. They have a story that they share with me that they connected from my song. That's really special.
Yeah. Rebecca, what do you do when you want to disconnect from music for a little bit? If you do, do you like to walk, run? Do you just, I don't know if you have a dog or not, go for a walk with the dog or whatever?
Yeah, I love running. I got into running back in the early 2000s, and I grew up very, very athletic, just always being involved in, gym class, gymnastics, horse riding, all these things. And I never considered myself a runner, because I just was like, this is so, I thought at the time, boring and like monotonous and like painful. And then I just started, I went out and just started running like, a mile. And then I went a little further and just kept building upon that. And I've ended up running about 12 half marathons at this point.
Wow.
Girl. I've run the
cow.
Nashville 4 times, and then the half marathon, and then the New Bedford marathon, half marathon. I've run a ton.
Do they still do the St. Jude run in Nashville? Don't they? Isn't there
Yeah, the Rock and Roll half marathon.
Yes, that's it.
They do the full and the half, but I'm like 13 miles is more than enough. More than enough.
Well, you said that when you first started running, that it was like, all right, well, I don't know if I want to do this, but I'll do it. But then you kind of it wasn't that you made yourself do it, you wanted to do it. Because I hear that from a lot of people that run. Once you get started, you're going to always want to stay with it.
Yes. Yeah. It's really a very spiritual sport. It's deep, and the people that you meet through that, it's kind of like music, that same community, and you see a lot of the same people at the races, and you find each other online. And
that's cool.
Even in Nashville, I've met a number of people that are very serious runners and have just stayed connected with them.
Have you had the opportunity to be on any type of radio tour over the years? Have you in the beginning? Did you go? Yeah, that's. I'll be honest with you. That's because I'm in my own podcast studio here, and being with the radio station when an artist would come through, to meet the program director, and you do a little bit of an interview on air, and you play their song on the radio and all that. But I always made it a point that they spent the night in town because they come over here in my podcast studio and we would get pizza, wings, and beer.
Oh,
And we would have a great conversation. There's been a lot of artists that have actually come to the house. That's where I am downstairs. I have my own studio. And we would hang out, we'd have a great time. And then the pandemic hit. Hence now this is what we're doing.
yeah.
But have you had that opportunity to hit up radio stations? Has your publicist set any of that up for you, or is there people that do that, or do you do all that up by yourself?
Well, up until recently, I've been, kind of doing that on my own, with the connections that I have. I did a
Sure.
lot of networking earlier on. But now I'm connected with a wonderful company in Nashville called Aristo Media.
Yes, they're
And
great.
they're amazing. And they have connected me with a number of podcasts and
Nice.
phone interviews type things. So I'd never really done it. My only real deep dive into the radio world per se before this was I have a friend that I went to the Hartt School with that
Mhm.
ended up going and working right out of college for Sirius Satellite Radio in New
Very
York.
cool. Mhm.
And he's been there for some time. So back in 2009, he pulled some strings, and on New Year's Day, because that's the only day that they're closed down, we went in and we recorded a record in the main studio there,
Sweet.
a solo record. So it was a lot of fun, and I can't believe that it was that long ago that we did it, but it was really cool because the place was completely quiet and shut
I know.
down. And New York in general can be so overwhelming when you go there because
No
it's
doubt.
just larger than life. And it was just, we took that elevator up to the top floor, whatever floor they're on, and just, took over for the day. It was really cool.
Have you had a chance in Nashville to visit the studios that they have?
Oh yeah. I've been to a number of the studios down there, and
cool.
a lot of the studios that I have worked in, I worked in Kevin's studio,
Yeah. Oh wow.
at Mo's studio, and then I also just made my record at the Purple House, which is in Leipers Fork. So I've done a few background vocals for people over the years, or people have invited me to their sessions in town, but most of the work that I've done have been in those two studios.
Yeah. Have you been to the Sirius studios?
No, I haven't there. Not yet.
No, but and the other ones too. No, that's cool
Yeah.
hearing about that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a pretty cool setup downtown. So
Yeah, it is. It is. There's so much to see. It's ever changing when you
we
go
know
down
that.
there. I go down. I'm like, where am I? I don't know where it's changed.
No, I know. I get it. Do you take in a Predators game or maybe the Titans or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been to a few Preds games. I have some friends that are a part of that whole scene that has
Nice.
got me in a few times. I have yet to be at a Titans game because I'm from New England. I'm a New England Patriots fan. I'm sorry.
Don't say that too
I'm
loud.
gonna admit to it.
We got the Bills here. Then we got the Giants, and we got the
I
Jets.
know.
Giants and the Jets suck, but the
Hey,
Bills,
we
the Bills
all
are
have our
playing
seasons.
tonight.
We all have our seasons,
We do.
And we had a good run there for a while.
You did. And how about the baseball? Do you ever go to their AAA team in Nashville, the Sounds?
I have been to a Sounds game. Yes. Yeah, I have.
It was a lot of fun.
And I believe it or not, being from Massachusetts, 2 years ago was the first time that I went to Fenway to see the Red Sox.
What?
I know. How could I get this far?
Rebecca.
But I finally went. And I'm going again. I'm going to go again. The plan is to go on the 18th of September. This, next week, because Post Malone is playing at Fenway, and I might have an in there. So.
Do you think? We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, because if there's a way that I can get those pictures back to Post, I don't need to go, but if she could just take them back and go, look what somebody gave me. Is this
Well,
you?
where there's a will, there's a way.
There is. We'll talk about that. Rebecca Correia is who we're talking to tonight on Skip Happens. If somebody wants to find out more about you, more about your music, buy your music, maybe some merchandise, where can they go?
They can go to RebeccaCorreia.com, and that's RebeccaCorreia.com. And if you can't remember, it's EIEIA. My cousin taught me that.
I love that. It's right there on the screen too. You should be able to see it. It's like right.
Oh yeah,
right there. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. You know, Rebecca, you're such a great person. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, talking about you, talking about the music, and hopefully we get a few more fans for you. You've already got a great fan base, man. You're kicking some butt. But rose-colored glasses, give it a listen if you haven't listened yet, and you're watching this. As soon as we get done here, give it a listen. I think you're going to love it. This young lady right here has got a hell of a voice, and definitely, you know, she hasn't gone back yet. So this is a good sign. She's been in Nashville since early 2000s. And, you know, we just wish you the best. We do.
Thank you so much, Skip. I appreciate that. It was great talking with you.
Yeah, same here. And one quick question. Have you ever been to the country radio seminar?
I haven't. I have not, believe it or not.
February.
Okay.
I'm just saying, look it up. Look it up. It's country radio seminar. It's in February. Okay. Anybody is usually there. And it's based out of the Omni Hotel downtown. But, you know, I've been going for well over 20 years. And
awesome.
It's always a great thing. Yeah, there's a lot of things to learn, a lot of networking, a lot of fun. Yeah. I have a bar. I have a bar stool with my name on it down in Bar Lines, which is the hotel or the bar in the Omni. So I'm just saying no.
I love that. And maybe we can see each other in person and real
have
life
a conversation. Exactly.
That's right.
I'd love to meet you someday, and I really appreciate what you're doing. And we need more people like you. We need more females on the radio. This is what we need. And
I agree. Well, I so appreciate that. And you know, we're here and we're ready.
Let's go.
And we're not taking no for an answer.
I love it. I love it already. I love this attitude. Rebecca Correia, thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Skip Happens. I want you to hang out there for a minute, but thank you for watching, everybody. And make sure you look her up, Rebecca Correia. You can see her name right there. That's how you spell it. And if I go this way, it's always the opposite of what I'm looking at here. So this way, you got to go. Rose-Colored Glasses is the new single. That dropped early September.
Yes.
The 4th or something like that. So
yeah.
That's cool. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Rebecca, thank you.
My pleasure.